This podcast shares powerful stories from survivors of sexual assault. But what if we could stop some of those stories from happening in the first place? That's the idea behind Hassle. I'm Amy Watson, founder of Hassle, and I created it to focus on prevention, engaging men, workplaces and communities to challenge harmful behaviour before it escalates, instead of placing the responsibility on women to stay safe. In just over a year, we've built a movement of more than 550,000 people, reached over 250 million views, gathered more than 9,000 surveys to inform our work, and grown a network of over 3,000 ambassadors across more than 120 countries. If you'd like to hear me talk more about prevention and culture change, you can listen to episode 175 of Sexual Assault Survivor Stories. Or you can learn more at Hassle, that's HASSL.UK.
Welcome back to Sexual Assault Survivor Stories, the SAS podcast. Coming to you from the Long Valley Studio in Washington, Utah, I'm your host, Dave Markle, and this is episode 194. Every once in a while, I have the opportunity to reconnect with a previous guest and find out what's happened since the last time we spoke. These conversations are always interesting because healing isn't a destination. As life continues to unfold, new challenges emerge. Sometimes victories are achieved, and at other times setbacks occur. But through it all, people keep moving forward. Speaking of lives that keep moving forward, my guest today is Cheryl Wright. Cheryl first joined me in January of 2024, and in this brief follow-up conversation, she shares some of what's happened during the past 2 years. It's a chance to revisit her story, hear where life has taken her, and learn what she's discovered along the way. This conversation is truly an education in the ups and downs of healing. Here's Cheryl. Hey SAS listeners, I am so excited to be here again with Cheryl Wright. She's my guest this week, and Cheryl has agreed to bring us up to date on where she's been. She's been on this show before, so it's good to have you back. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it more than I can say.
You're welcome. It's good to be back. It's only been 2 years.
I know. I didn't look up the date. I was going to, but I was kind of in a hurry to get this going. Do you remember when it was that you were on last?
It was January of 24.
Man, it's been over 2 years.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, it really is good to have you back. Cheryl, why don't we just start off by refreshing our audience, if they haven't heard your previous episode, a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do, and then if you want to recap about your sexual assault story, that would be great.
Okay, great. Cheryl, 47 now, adult survivor of child sex abuse from the age of 4 to 14 by the minister of my church, who was also cheating on his wife with my mother, who was my biological grandma. I was raised in chaos, kind of destined to be this miserable being by my upbringing, according to what I was told I would be. And I have fought tooth and nail to be far beyond that. And by just Dave giving me the opportunity to speak out and tell my story, I've become more than the woman I ever thought I would be. And I have a future now. This opportunity gave me something more than just telling my story to a therapist or to a friend. I was able to touch an audience. I was able to speak and be heard and listened to and felt by another human being with more than just an ear. Dave heard me with his soul. I have survived by the skin of my teeth for so long. This has opened up so much for me. I'm very grateful. I have done a lot of work on myself, and this opened up such a giant opportunity for me to do a lot of soul searching, to grow, to learn more about myself. I listened to all the episodes that were after mine. He recently did an episode with Dr. Lori.
Yeah.
I connected with her through comments that I made from the podcast, and she reached out to me via response, and I had a consultation with her. Our first meeting was last Thursday, meeting again with her this week. We're working through my shame issues at the moment, and I didn't realize how much the shame impacted every aspect of my life until I was working on my homework earlier today, and I'm like, I really still have shame. I thought I was doing past all that. She's really willing to work with me, and I'm willing to put in the work because I'm worth it. Those are things I'm really realizing now. The person that I was raised to be didn't see this worth. I've recently rededicated my life to Christ. That's taking such a load off of my shoulders. And now I don't feel like I ever will be alone. I don't feel like I've lost my place. I'm finding inspiration and beauty in every single thing. It could be the most miserable thing you've ever seen, and I will find the beauty in it. And if I can't find it, I'll make it.
Wow, that is so powerful. I love the spiritual aspect of the healing journey because it is so critical and so important. I'm glad you brought that up. And I know Dr. Lori believes that too. It's a big part of what she does and how she operates and what her worldview is, and her own spirituality is. It just overflows into her work. And I think it has a very strong impact, whether you're a spiritual person or not. If you're working with Dr. Lori, you're going to feel that impact.
Definitely.
I think it just actually brings more reality into the healing process. I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm so glad that you connected with Dr. Lori because of that episode.
Me too. I needed her. Like, I am in therapy. I'm in trauma therapy. I've gotten my official CPTSD diagnosis. There were so many years of my life where there was no treatment, there was no medicine, there was no nothing. And so much has changed. I had that 5-year relationship. It's dissolved. That was holding me back. I went no contact with my toxic family. That took a lot of work because I was so used to just wanting to please them, just wanting to, if I'm a good enough girl, they'll love me. No. And that was a big thing for me to realize. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter what career I choose. It doesn't matter if I win a Nobel Prize. I will never be enough. And that's okay because that's for them. I just need to worry about being enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Lori has inspired me to, I want to be what she is. God opened my eyes. I was just sitting here and I was talking to my friend that I stay with. And she's like, I've heard you speak on that SAS podcast. She heard the Jan Broberg podcast I did. I've heard you speak and I think you would be a good life coach.
I think that's awesome. I really am hoping for the best for you on that aspect. That would be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Cheryl.
Like, I want to spend the rest of this year saving for Dr. Lori's course. And then by this time next year, I want to be getting out of it, you know?
Yeah, right.
And doing everybody proud and spreading a message of self-love and compassion, and that you can heal every day. It doesn't have to be miserable. You don't have to live with shame. You don't have to live with pain. You just have to have the gall to go for it and try.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful outlook and great prospect on where you're going. Let me ask you this, though. You just recently started these sessions with Dr. Lori. Can you tell us about your healing journey since the last time we talked? What kind of progress have you made, and what do you attribute that progress to?
I hit a rock bottom when I was in West Virginia about a year after I spoke with you. Work kind of tanked, and I was suffering financially. And my job was it was a good job emotionally for me. I was helping others. I was doing the emergency dispatching. Right. The company didn't pay very well. There was no benefits. I was getting nothing but a paycheck and a little bit of sense of satisfaction that I was doing something to help others. It wasn't enough to pay the bills and, keep my mouth fed and take care of my kitty cat, enough. So it was just spiraling out of financial control. And this friend of mine, her name is Maureen, we reconnected on Facebook. We've known each other for a long time. Okay. And I just thought, I'd like to see how my Maureen is doing. And I just popped into Facebook one day, found her, and I said, hey, girl, do you remember me? She's like, of course I do. Oh, my God, how are you? And I'm like, my lunch break is an hour long. You got a minute? Can I call you? And we just started talking. And a couple weeks later, she's like, hey, God just asked me to be like, hey, do you want to come stay here? I'm like, depends on how close you live to my family. And she's like, I live in Medina. And I'm like, okay, I can swing that. So I took it was supposed to be an unpaid vacation, but the supervisor that was working with us was embezzling this entire time. So he ended up paying me. I wasn't supposed to get paid. And I rented a car. She helped me pay for the car. I came up here for a week. We made the arrangements for the U-Haul to come get me the next week.
Wow.
So I ended up coming here around Thanksgiving, almost 2 years ago. That kind of got me out of the financial mess. And I just think I was healing by myself, just using self-help books and with my writing and stuff like that. And I got a better job when I got here. It's the same field, but they just pay better, and there's benefits and vacation and all of that lovely stuff that comes with having a big girl job.
That's great.
And last December, I was sitting down there taking my calls, and it was just, biz as usual. And there was like a 13-second where there was just the sounds in my head and no phone calls and no people. And I just got this really intense, terrible, maybe you'd be better off dead. You wouldn't be burdening your friend, and she wouldn't have to help take care of you if you weren't here. And it just became so overwhelming. I just lost my mind, just started crying. And these feelings were so overwhelming. I just typed to my supervisor, like, I think I don't want to be alive anymore, and I need to go get help. And I ran up the stairs and I was bawling. Like, she was up here talking to another friend, someone I had never met before. And I just kind of had my head down. I'm like walking around upstairs and they're thinking I'm just coming up for a break. And I just like stopped and I breathed for a few minutes and I said, I'm going to go interrupt this conversation because I don't know what's going to happen. So I walked in between the two of them and I'm like sobbing silently. And then I said, guys, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt here. I am having horrible suicidal ideation. We need to get me to a hospital. So we went to the ER and they sent me to a hospital up towards the Cleveland area. I ended up staying there for 2 weeks. They were able to get me into some group sessions on site, and they got me on some medication to help kind of calm my thoughts down, chill my anxiety down some. I got home and I did like an intensive outpatient treatment for about 6 weeks.
Right.
And that gave me a good jump start to kind of get my behind in gear again and start taking better care of my mental health.
Wow. I'm so sorry that you experienced that, but I'm so grateful that you had the right response in reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, I need help.
I wasn't just going to sit in that. I was like, we better go.
Yeah, that is so good, Cheryl. So 2 weeks of inpatient treatment, I take it?
Yes.
And some medication. And how are things going since then?
Since then, it's been on constant upswing. I don't feel that way anymore. I know I have a purpose. I know I have goals. I have the spiritual guidance that I've been missing. There's just a hole in my heart that nothing on this earth could fill. There's a spiritual aspect to my life that's missing. And due to the nature of the abuse I suffered, I'd always neglected that part of life because it wasn't God's fault that man who was pretending to be something he wasn't hurt me and my family all those years ago. I had nothing to do with God. I know that now. I've done a lot of writing about it. I've done a lot of talking here with my friend about it. We spent a lot of time in this garage kind of having cross therapy because we both are kind of child trauma survivors.
Yeah.
And we kind of bounce stuff off of each other, and that's kind of healthy for us, and it works. We help each other a lot. Just realizing that was the piece that was missing. I think all the timing that's happened, like this timeline was really quick, and I'm really excited. I've got a lot of medical stuff happening. We found out through an ER visit a few months ago, this might make me cry. I have a brain disease called moya moya. In Japanese, that means puff of smoke. The blood vessels in my brain look like a puff of smoke. The carotid arteries in the sides of your brain and neck are very occluded and constricted. They don't get enough oxygen.
Okay.
And your brain creates these wee, teeny, tiny, little useless blood vessels to try to get oxygen somewhere, and then they just kind of...
Yeah.
And it's irreversible other than surgery. I get really bad migraines quite frequently.
I'm sorry.
And it'll be okay. So there's probably going to be brain surgery. There's no medical intervention other than the blood thinners I'm already taking. So there's going to be some stenting. They maybe have to go in there and go into the skull and kind of make stuff better. I don't know exactly. There's a few different procedures, but brain surgery is probably in the future. I was thinking hard about that the other day, and I just heard this voice, "You're going to be okay." God told me I'm going to be fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that that is something on the horizon in terms of maybe taking care of this situation. I'm sorry you have to go through all that, but what I'm really happy about is that you're willing to talk about it, because I know there's other listeners who are experiencing some sort of physical issues on top of their healing process through their rape or sexual assault healing journey. And the fact that you're so willing to talk about all of this is so helpful. Thank you so much for being so open and willing to do this.
Sure, it is definitely difficult when things are compounded on top of each other. And if you don't address them, it'll compress. And then that's no good for your mental health. You gotta be able to get it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Cheryl, I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time. Like I said, I just wanted to get caught up with you and hear how things are going. Sounds like there's some great things happening and some not so great things happening, but that you are trusting in your spirituality and in your faith and in Dr. Lori and the support that she can give you and that homework and those sessions. And you've got a great goal ahead of you in terms of becoming a life coach. What a great prospect for you. I think that's a wonderful
Absolutely.
idea.
It's nice to have something I'm looking forward to. I have never had such a clear path in front of me in 47 years.
That is so good. Well, we'll be pulling for you. Let me ask you this. Would you be willing to come back on the show in another year or so and tell us where you're at and how things are going?
Yeah, don't make it be 2 this time.
That's right.
Give me 365 and I got you, Dave.
You bet. We'll do that. I'm up for it.
All right.
Okay. Well, we'll stay in touch in the meantime also. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Sounds fabulous.
Great. We'll talk to you soon. That does it for another episode of Sexual Assault Survivor Stories, the SAS podcast. Before we wrap up, I'd like to thank Cheryl Wright for returning to the show and sharing this update with us. One of the things that I appreciate most about follow-up conversations is that they remind us that no single interview captures an entire life. The stories shared on this podcast continue long after the microphones are turned off. People grow, with circumstances changing constantly. Occasionally, new opportunities appear, but it always seems like new obstacles also arise. Through it all, life keeps moving forward. Cheryl's life is an example to all of us that our past may help shape us, but it does not have to define what comes next. Please let others know about this podcast and this episode, and please do what you can to help bring justice to victims and survivors of rape and sexual assault. A good place to start is by believing, by taking people seriously, by being willing to have honest conversations about the realities of sexual violence. The more we normalize these conversations, the more we make an impact on eliminating rape culture in our society. Because whether we realize it or not, we all know someone whose life has been impacted by rape or sexual assault. We'll see you next week.